Hello, I'd like to welcome our viewers to a program which was a special update on the Democratic Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria, Rojava, which was originally recorded on the 29th of January at Queen's University. My name is Ariel Saltzman. I teach in the History Department of Queen's and am affiliated with Global Development Studies and Cultural Studies. The program brings voices directly from Rojava, this democratic autonomous administration in North and Eastern Syria, to our campus. It also brings analyses by young Queen's scholars on the Middle East. The program is sponsored, as you can see from the poster, by the Public Service Alliance of Canada Local 901, which represents our graduate teaching assistants, teaching fellows, and postdoctoral scholars on the Queen's campus who are very much part of our labor force and educational workers. In this time of crisis, of extreme violence and suffering and oppression of peoples throughout the region of the Middle East and Africa, as well as great uncertainty in newly liberated Syria, it's time to take stock of the accomplishments and struggles that have been made to provide and furnish an alternative political reality, one based on gender equality, sustainable development, multicultural mutual respect, and self-governance at the grassroots level. This has been the struggle of men and women in the Democratic Autonomous Administration of North and East Syria since 2012. They held back Daesh, ISIS, and protected their population of Muslims and non-Muslims, Arabs, Kurds, Circassians, Assyrian, and Turkmen since that time. Our hope is not only provide information about the current situation and encourage but also to encourage international solidarity at a pivotal time in the formation of a new Syria, which territories are currently being encroached upon by both Turkey and Israel. Before we begin, I turn the program over to Murat Ruhi, who will provide some historical background on Rojava. I want to acknowledge that those of us who participated then and now are not indigenous to this land, but uninvited guests who live, work, and enjoy our time on this land, thanks to the gifts by traditional peoples of this region. These lands are the lands of the Anishinaabe Nation and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, which are included in the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement that was struck between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Confederacy of the Ojibwe and allied nations to live peaceably together and share the resources of the Great Lake region. We recognize the wisdom of their stewardship of the land and the principle of the great law of the Haudenosaunee that decisions we make today should result in protections for a natural environment and for our peoples for seven generations into the future. Thank you. I turn the program over now to Murat Ruhi.
Thank you so much. Let me stop sharing this poster and share my slides. Okay, thank you so much, Ariel, for this kind of introduction, and thanks for being here to stand in solidarity with the autonomous administration of North and East Syria, which is also known as Rojava. Before starting my introduction, I'd like to remind us that back some 6 years ago, we organized another event in solidarity with the autonomous administration of Rojava. It was when Turkey had organized yet another attack on the region. So not only this attack, but also so many other dark episodes occurred to Rojava, to this autonomous administration. But luckily, they've survived all these dark episodes, and hopefully, next time when we have another event on Rojava, it is when a new democratic administration is built in Damascus for whole Syria, in which all Syrian people, their rights are recognized. Let's start with have a visual understanding of the location of Syria in the Middle East as it is seen on the map. It is located on a very strategic point in the Middle East over this strategic location, like decade-long devastating proxy or civil war was waged by so many forces and so many countries, a war with devastating effects with which the Syrian people will be dealing for years to come. So currently in Syria, there is three different forces. The biggest one is shown as in green on the map, is the HDS, the new administration which came to power in last December after the fall of Bashar al-Assad. The second biggest forces on the ground are shown in yellow. This is Syrian Democratic Forces, and we are talking today about these yellow forces, which are basically composing 1/3 of the Syrian territory these days. There is also a third forces shown in a kind of grayish along the northern part of Syria in two enclaves. This is the so-called Syrian National Army, which is sponsored and paid by Turkey, and basically they are the mercenary of Turkey. And about these symbols and icons on the map, our speakers will be talking in a moment. So to understand the dynamics of this autonomous administration, it is very essential to highlight this fact that this region is not Kurdish whatsoever. So it is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious population. This diversity goes back for centuries in history, but also it has been more complicated in the 20th century with so many political kind of development in the Middle East. First by the Armenian genocide during the First World War I, but also later by the Hafez al-Assad's program of making an Arab belt alongside the northern border of Syria, which resulted in the displacement of many Kurds and settling like Arabs in this region. So currently there is so many different ethnic groups in the region: Kurds, Syrians, Arabs, Armenians, Assyrians, Circassians. So and the right of these ethnic groups are all recognized in the social contract of the administration. So it is very important to highlight that this region is not Kurdish, and the importance of this region is the fact that they have gone beyond ethno-nationalism and they are trying to reconstruct a completely different political system. And this political system is called Democratic Confederalism. It is a new paradigm formulated by Abdullah Öcalan, who is in prison for 26 years now. He was kidnapped in 1999 in an international cooperation, and now he's held in a prison in Turkey. And ironically, he's the main and the sole hope of Turkey for peace and reconciliation in the country now. And this administration, like this paradigm, was formulated based on a synthesis which Abdullah Öcalan made when he was in prison. So Basically, the Kurdish movement, the PKK in Turkey, started organized in 80s. They kind of followed a national liberation movement, but later Öcalan included feminism and anarchism into these Marxist, Leninist national liberation movement, and formulated a new paradigm, which is called Democratic Confederalism, which is based on radical democracy and democratic autonomy, based on gender liberation, feminism. Like women's right is so key and basic within this new paradigm. And it is also based on pluralism and multi-ethnic and multi-religious coexistence, which is kind of key in the region. And it is really impossible to make any political system based on a single and monolithic kind of ethnic or religious identity. It is also based on ecological sustainability, and it is based on anti-capitalism and social economy. With this introduction, let me introduce our guests from Rojava, but also one of our guests is at Queens. Our first speaker is Khabat Abbas. Khabat Abbas is an independent journalist, researcher, and consultant from Rojava. Over her decade-long career, she has worked with prestigious organizations such as the UNHCR, Amnesty International, and the Conflict Armament Research Center, and has written and consulted for news outlets including ABC, The Washington Post, and Der Spiegel. Also, Abbas has covered a wide range of topics, from popular anti-regime demonstration in northern Syria to the Islamic State and Turkish incursion into Rojava. As a testament to her versatility, she co-authored two noteworthy books during this period, that is Pandemic Solidarity and Balas Paras Tudas. These publications shed lights on the pressing global issues and reflect her deep engagement with journalism. Khabat Abbas will talk about the new development in Rojava and provides more information about everyday life and current conflicts in the region. Our next speaker is Nasrin Rashik. She was born in Hasaka in 1989. She holds a BA in Arabic language and a BA in Kurdish language from the Teacher Training Institute in Hasaka. She's a teacher and works in the International Relation Committee of the North and East Syria Teachers Union. And she's also international representative of the union. Nasrin will talk about the education system, the union, and she'll be providing statistic about the number of students, the condition of the education, the languages in which students are taught in North and East Syria. And our next speaker will be Hamrin Alo. She's a member of the Civil Diplomacy Center in North and East Syria. This center is a civil institution which works on building relationships between people in the region with people and institutions in the civil society outside Syria. She has a bachelor in English language from Language Institute in Qamishlu and currently studies management at Cordova private university based in Qamishlu. And she will be talking about how their institute is building relationship with institutions, with civil society outside Syria, and how this relationship has affected the life of people on the ground. Our next speaker is Zaina Ali. She's a speech language pathologist and a co-president of Rojava University based in Qamishlu. I should highlight this fact that Rojava system is based on kind of presidentship in many levels of kind of administration. So for most of the managerial positions, there is one woman and one man that they are both called co-president. So and she's a lecturer at the College of Education in Rojava University. She holds a master's degree in speech language pathology from Damascus University. And in addition to her work at the university, she also works in her private clinic in the city of Ramallah. Zaina Ali will talk about the condition of higher education in North and East Syria, and she'll be talking about the kind of problems and difficulties with which these universities are struggling in the region, and also the new opportunities which has developed for people in North and East Syria to do higher education in the region. And our last but not least speaker is Canan Şahin. Canan is a PhD student at Queen's University. She's from Turkey, and she's a student at political science. She will be talking about the both imperialist and sub-imperialist forces who are affecting the life of people in the region. With that introduction, I'll give the floor to Khabat Abbas to present her talk. Thank you.
We'll begin basically the program from January 29th, which was held on the campus. We've recorded this several days later on February 2nd as an introduction. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I mean, here it's night, so Shavbash and Dambash in your time as it's a midday. My name is Khabat Abbas. I am from Qamishli. I'm talking to you now from Qamishli city, which is located directly on the Syrian-Turkish border. Thanks for Murad for organizing this and giving the opportunities for us to report about what's happening in our region. And thanks for your interest to having the curiosity to follow about what's happening in our region again. And I think it's already Murad in his presentation, he mentioned a lot of informations. And for the people who don't know about Syria in general, and then the Kurdistan and the Kurdish issue, it will be complicated to just drop all this information and different layers of complexity regarding this region. And especially last couple of months, there is a lot of rapid developments taking place in northeast of Syria, I mean, in all Syria, and after Assad's fall and all the situation being shifted, the conflict completely changed, and the situation northeast of Syria also, it's been impacted severely about all these changes, and especially toward the Kurdish community. So to be honest, I think I'm more open for the questions from your end. Recently, I can also share some of recent, like a basic story that we are covering as a journalist from the ground. If you would, I can share that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think like the measure, because now I'm northeast of Syria in general, like what's happening in this region, as Murad, he highlighted in his presentation, that's now the country, it's basically two main big power, which is SDF, Syrian Democratic Forces in northeast of Syria, and then HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham in the rest of the Syria. There is a small group kind of called SNAs, Syrian National Army, which is linked to the Turkish state directly and supported by them. So when the HTS launched the operation against the Assad's regime in Damascus, simultaneously there was a SNA, Syrian National Army, who moved toward the Kurdish areas. And in the first days of their attack, they caused a huge displacement for the Afrinian people who were already located from Afrin city after being occupied in 2018 to the region called Al-Shahba, and specifically Tel Rafat city. And this situation caused a massive displacement for those people who seek the refuge in northeast of Syria. Basically, they are distributed in different cities, and basically because they arrived first to Raqqa and Tabqa, which was the first, like a point when they arrived. Now there is over 43 schools have been converted to shelters in Raqqa city. There is a stadium and the schools in Tabqa city that still also converted to be shelters. In Qamishli, I interviewed many families who are right now taking the under constructing apartments and places that's not really having any basics circumstances and conditions to take a refuge in. Also now in we also used it to have a first camp in Rojava. It's called now Rose Camp. Used it to be for the Yazidis back to 2014. Right now also the administration trying to prepare that camp in order to receive also more people, and because they need to evacuate the schools, as now the education system in Tabqa and Raqqa been impacted severely because the schools been converted to shelters. The humanitarian response for this, it's really, there is a severe need that the autonomous administration cannot deal. The estimated numbers, it's over 120,000 people who came in one day and night on a different levels, but it was also in the beginning of the December until our days, the situation it's getting more critical, and the needs it's there, especially for the elderly and the children and the women who are the majority of those displaced people. On a daily basis, we are reporting about this issue because they are almost on all over the cities in northeast of Syria, as I said. The other issue, which is the civilian convoys who are going, I will give you a little bit context. So what's happened when the SNA, they managed to move toward the northeast of Syria until they get to a strategic city which called Al-Manbij, and Manbij been full under their control. And later on, they wanted to move and cross the Euphrates, which is the natural border right now between northeast and northwest and the rest of the Syria. So they want to cross to the Euphrates, and if they do so, that means the main gate, it's called the Shrin Dam, which is one of the biggest dam in all over Syria and the main source for the electricity and the water, drinking water for the region. Now the main fight, it's taking place around 10 kilometers far from Shrin Dam and in Karakozat bridge, which is also a strategic bridge over the Euphrates. And the third one, it's in the countryside of Raqqa, which is called Der Hafer. So this main three front lines, it's open since it's been like over 45 days and 50 days. And this main three front lines, the fights, it's severely taking place between SDF and the SNA, Syrian National Army, which is Turkish-backed militias. And of course, Turkey supporting them with the warplanes, drones, and artillery, shellings, all the heavy weapon. At the same time, the SDF are located on all over, like ahead of the Shrin Dam, around 10 kilometers, and the other front lines, Karakozat Bridge and Der Hafer. The fight, it's very severe, and the SDF, if they lose that front lines, it's kind of a gate. If they lose that Shrin Dam or the Karakozat Bridge or Der Hafer, that means the SNA, they will going to be separated, and basically the main attack, it will be first against Kobani city, because Kobani, it's already been kind of like a surrounded, and the only gate, the only side that they have it's in that direction. So if they manage to take that, that means we will gonna lose Kobani. And that means that's it will be huge humanitarian crisis, plus the symbolic resistance that Kobani held for the Kurdish people all over internationally after the defeat of the ISIS 26th of January back to 2015. So this is a main danger for the region, and almost on a daily basis there is a fighters who are fighting and falling, and there is a funerals taking place all over northeast of Syria, and people are losing more and more of the senior YPJ who use it to fight against ISIS, and now we are losing them because of this unjustified fight in a way by the Turkish-backed militias toward our regions. And for the civilians, because they understand the importance of that, and they don't want to end up like what happened in Shangal, like suddenly they will see all those like a kind of ISIS or different factions named different labels, Islamist, jihadist people who will gonna get into the cities and start to kill everyone or enslave the woman. Because they understand the importance of this, and to give a morals to the fighters, now there is what they starting from the 8th of January, there is a civil convoys shifts, which is every city, some civilians, they take a convoy to go to the dam and make a shift for 3 days, then another shift from another city will go and take over. So it's a chain of civilians who are taking shifts over the dam in order to protect the dam, because it's the main source for the electricity and drinking water. and also to give a moral for the fighters who are fighting in the front lines. Basically, it's their children. And when the civilians started this protest or kind of like initiative, they thought that they will not be attacked by the Turkish warplane or drones or shelling because they are civilian. And unfortunately, that was not accurate, because I interviewed the first people who went in a convoy from Kobani on 8th of the January, and they explained to me all the way there were a bombardment on all over the way until they get close to the dam. Then in the middle of the convoy, there was a warplane that's attacked, airstriked in the middle of the convoy, and there was 4 martyrs, 7 injured. Even though that doesn't allow, they didn't stop. They continued by walking, because there was a kind of a small bridge that they have to cross, but the warplane destroyed that bridge as well, so they couldn't walk with the move forward with the vehicles. They have to walk 5 kilometers, and mostly it's our women, elderlies, and like some young people, but basically it's more like elderlies who were struggling. And it's cold here, it's winter. Even though they managed with the injured people, they managed to get to the Shirin Dam. The second convoy, when they arrived, it was from Jazeera. The escalation, it's happened because everyone thought that on the Shirin Dam, on the wall itself, there will not going to be attacks. But unfortunately, in the second convoy, when people from Al Jazeera arrived to there, the drone started to attack those people, and many full martyrs. Now the numbers, it's over 40 civilians being killed so far in northeast of Syria. There is over hundreds of the injured people. And this convoys, it's on a daily basis. So we covered a lot of funerals and ceremonies for those civilians who fall in these fights. Many young people, some of them from the University of Kobani, University of Rojava, footballer, like just, injured people. So basically, we reported a lot about this civil convoys and the violations that's been conducted by the Turkey against those civilians. This is one of the main stories. The third one, it's the future of Syria and how all the women, minorities, and different components, they are seeing themselves with the new rulers in Damascus. It's a big question, especially in the majority Arab regions like Raqqa and Tabqa and like Deir ez-Zor. And I think, again, it's not clear for anyone. Syria, it's going where everyone, like in the beginning, they have a specific feelings toward the new rulers. They had a hope after Assad's fall, and everyone thought that's this dark era, it's ended, and we started with the new people. But unfortunately, HTS itself, they are still listed as a terrorist, and the terrorist list. And the head of this organization himself, he been like... he is still in the terrorism list, and they have this very suspicious background, and the acts of these fighters so far, it's not really reflecting what the Syrian hoped after the revolution. So this is why even in the northeast of Syria, there was some people, especially the Arab, they were seeking hope from these new rulers. I think now everyone's stepping back, and they are cautious about what's happening, especially the violations against the minorities like Alawite and women rights and stuff like that started to be questioned. And the people who've been assigned in this new government, it's like all with this background of a very radical Islamist ideology. So basically, I think all the Syrians, still all of us, myself, and I think when we are interviewing the people, it's the main question: what do you hope for Syria? How you see the new rulers? What do you think what will going to happen with the autonomous administration? What will happen to the SDF? It's like legitimate questions. At the same time, on the Kurdish community, like we can see all on a daily basis, there is funerals and ceremonies, and people are still falling. I think outside it's look like Syria after Assad, it's in a peace and the war it's over, which is really far from the reality on the ground, and especially in northeast of Syria, in specifically. So the situation, it's too complicated, especially on the service. I think, Murad, also you highlighted that Turkey also targeted in a different occasion the infrastructure, which is already this region very poorly served regarding the infrastructure during Assad's father, Assad's son. So already we have a very poorly this region developed. And even though it's been targeted in a different occasions of the infrastructure, and specifically now Kobani city. I were there just 4 days ago, and it's in a completely darkness. There is no drinking water, because the drinking water, it's depending on purification on the Tishrin Dam in order to get the electricity. And now they have to buy the water, and it's not clean water. They were just depending on the digging well and around. And the situation, it's really getting more harder for the people who already been through a lot last decade. So we are hoping that through negotiations and talks, and especially from the international community, if they can push this for a better, because really northeast of Syria, it's in danger, and hopefully Turkey will gonna stop these violations. So please, I'm open for any questions. As I said, there is a lot happening, and I think for people who don't know this region, it will be hard to just get all this information, unless if they are curious about specific field, then I'm open to answer.
Thank you so much, Khabat. I truly appreciate this great report from the region. I think that we'll continue with our other speakers, but at the end, if there is any question, I'll kind of collect the questions for you. So thank you so much. Our next speaker is Haval Nasrin. Are you available, Nasrin?
Very Haval Murad. I'm here.
Yeah. So floor is yours. Nasrin is from the teacher union from North and East Syria. Yeah, floor is yours.
Okay, before I will apologize for my English. It's just a little bit.
Could you please turn on your camera?
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Aval Murad. First, I will apologize for my English. It's just a little bit. So I'm read on a test. Maybe it's the better. Okay. The teacher union was established in 2013 since the outbreak of the revolution in Rojava by a small group of patriotic teachers and mother tongue in Lavar. This group began to organize itself and teach the mother tongue in the school across the city of Rojava. At the time, the number of teachers began to increase, especially after the withdrawal of the Ministry of Education of Assad from school in Rojava. The gathering of teachers resulted in the first founding conference in 2013, where the co-chairs were elected. دنگیم باشته یا ولا
بله باشته
او خواندن جی باشته فهم کردن؟
بله باشه
تمام. sorry. بس کامیره چیکم. The internal system was set of the work of the union.
Nasrin, sorry to interrupt you. You better to turn on your camera if you don't mind.
از باورم اینترنت جا من هناك ضعیفش بروی از کامیرا دیگه مش بردنگه من او نابه.
Okay. No problem then.
Okay, sorry.
Internet connection.
The internal system was set of the work of the union, where a number of teachers was appointed to administer the work of the teacher union in the cities of Rojava, and the annual conference were held successfully after, including the liberated cities as well, until the first founding conference was held at the level of North and East Syria is in 2021, where the internal system of all branches of the union in the cantons and cities were unified on the base of promoting teacher principle and the message of the education and the defining teacher and collective rights of member affiliated with the teaching profession. The number of union member in North and East Syria is 40,000, included 26 and 903 female teachers. The union aims to organize and unify teachers' struggle to achieve social justice and equality, and adopts the concept of democracy and environmental society, women's freedom, and bringing up a political moralist society to develop to develop, continue, and protect the culture and language of all components of the region. In contrast, on the union and educational policies that were practiced by the Assad regime, which adopted Arabization policy and the concept of one language, one culture, and one history as its basis in education and teaching, and transforming civil institutions into government once or affiliated with them in indirect ways to prevent the practice of civil activity in a free and democratic manner. It is worth noting that the union work independently as a civil society organization, but the coordination and the consultation with the education department of the autonomous administration in North and East Syria, while maintaining the privacy of the union work. The union faces two basic problems in the work. The first is the financial issues due to the ongoing war condition, the economic side imposed on our region, and the continuous attacks by the Turkey that affect the infrastructure and attract civilians, which also affect the educational process from by tracking and destroying school and their pause of the educational process due to the continuous bombing, also the deal incompletely the terms. In addition to the psychological trauma and stress experienced by student and teacher as well. The second is the lack of educational master and tools that would enhance knowledge and intelligence among students. This trait of the teaching profession is still unknowing. It's worth noting that the Manbij canton, which includes 365 schools, 5,359 male and female teachers, in addition to 117 422 male and female students, has been occupied by the Turkey, and educational process has stopped completely there. In addition to Shahba canton, which included 1,000 of displaced people from Afrin who was displaced again because of Turkey, Shahba canton also include 1,066 male and female teachers and 858 female teachers and 40,000 male and female students and 63 schools. As for foreign relation, the teacher union is member of Education International Organization, which is an international organization current with the teacher affair. It has a good continued friendship with the Germany and Kurdish regional teacher union friend from Eastern Kurdish, and recently with the American Teacher Union, AFT. Work is ongoing to establish friendship with neighbor continue. I'm so sorry, that's it.
Oh, thank you so much, Nasreen. Thanks for this presentation. Actually, Nasreen is international representative of the union from teacher union from North and East Syria. She was invited to join the annual conference of Congress of Education International, which was held over this summer in Buenos Aires, but owing to the visa issue, she was not able to attend. So resolving these legal and administrative issue in Rojava is very key to like get progress and then let the system work. Hopefully we will be seeing such a kind of legal opening soon. Thank you so much, Nasreen. So our next speaker would be Hamrin Alo, if you are available. Is Hamrin in the room? Oh, hello. Yeah. Floor is yours, Hamrin. Vale.
Thank you for sharing me.
Yeah,
Rojava deeply. Yeah. My voice is clear?
It's all clear and good. Yeah.
Yeah. Rojava, we deeply appreciate your support and solidarity with us. It fills us with the pride to know that there are communities around the world who stand with us fighting for democracy, gender equality, self-defense, according to a paradigm built on the foundation of direct democracy. In line with the paradigm built on the foundation of direct democracy, I'll speak few lines about our centers and our work. Civil Diplomacy Center. The Civil Diplomacy Center was founded in 2021 by a group of civil activities. Its center is located in Qamishlo city. Through civil diplomacy, we build relations between society, people of North and East Syria, and the outside world by strengthening and creating new understanding on basis of human values, democracy, ecology, awareness, women's freedom, and freedom of religion. Support for Rojava revolution is done through knowledge activities like lectures, introductory and solidarity programs, and joint awareness. Through these activities, we can contribute to the global resistance against dictatorial operation wars on indigenous cultures and policies of occupation colonialism. We also contribute to combating violence against women and fighting for restoration of natural society values. Together, we can establish joint projects and provide means of mutual support to spread peace, democracy, and social justice, to implement the concept of democratic confederalism and coexistence among all components in the region of North and East Syria on one hand, and creating friendship and understanding with other peoples in the world on the other hand. We receive, in our center, sometimes we receive foreign delegations and international activities in field of supporting civil society and participating in Rojava revolution. We also work on connection among NGO, non-government organization, humanitarian bodies, and human rights activities in the Middle East and North and East Syria, because millions of people in North and East Syria live in extreme poverty, driven by 10 years of civil war and politically motivated solution, which means it is unable to access many forms of international aid. International solidarity has been crucial in enabling the region to continue to provide the best standard of living for ordinary citizens in Syria, despite immense hardship. Regarding to our relation Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah. Regarding our relation with Middle East countries, especially Gulf countries, our center aims to focus on building relations with all civil society structures, ethnic groups, and community institutions in the Middle East countries because we are convinced that what unites us is much more than what divides us. We have some relation with the Gulf countries, especially since they have a view towards the solution in Syria that can open horizon for solution. About our relationship with the three parts of Kurdistan, each part addressed the Kurdish cause passed on the system they aim to implement in their region. According to their perspective, we build relationships such as our relation with Southern Kurdistan within framework of Iraq. In this relation, we support the federal system in Iraq. We understand it and we recognize it in order to maintain good relations with all political parties and the Kurdistan regional government. Our relations with all Kurdish political parties in Iraq are positive. In Iran, the Kurdish revolution against Mullah's regimes and their slogan "Woman, Life, Freedom" has begun. Greatly inspired by the Rojava revolution, we maintain good relation with them as well. We want to help each other. For Northern Kurdistan, the situation is similar. In Northern Kurdistan, they aim to address the Kurdish issue with the Turkish state within a democratic framework. We support this. We support effort to free municipalities and local authorities. We also support the struggle of DEM party there. We have relation with them. However, it is important to emphasize that all parts of Kurdistan aim to solve the Kurdish issue with their respective states. Our relations with the other parts of Kurdistan are legitimate. Additionally, during the Kobani resistance against ISIS, fighters from the other three parts of Kurdistan came to join the battle. Kobani's resistance against ISIS was both a Kurdish and a global cause. There was an alternative federal system in place, and ISIS tried to destroy replace it with its own ideology. This is why fighters from all four parts of Kurdistan joined this resistance. In a sense, this resistance became Kurdish national struggle with Peshmerga and guerrilla fighters joining battle in Kobani. Of course, we also have strategies and policies to mobilize the Kurdish diaspora, especially in Europe and America, where Rojava has inspired many Kurds worldwide. This revolution has brought hope to Kurds globally. When there is a danger in Rojava, Kurds around the world mobilize, as seen in the March for Afrin, Serikani, and ongoing resistance at the Tishrin Dam in current time. These marches are held worldwide, but it isn't just about marches. They also pressure human rights organizations and Kurdish lobbies. Kurds in Europe are actively engaged, showing the significant impact Rojava has. The Kurds are united in building Rojava because it is a Kurdish issue. It's solved and recognized by the international community as the Kurdish region in Iraq was recognized. Rojava can achieve the same. For this reason, all Kurds are in mobilization. As for diversity issue, the autonomous administration region don't suffer from extremism. There are laws that guarantee all components of society their effective participation in all decision-making centers, where the rights of all nationalities, religions, and sects are guaranteed equally without mentioning the term monitoring. This enables us to treat everyone in our organization at the same level. Regarding to new transitional government in Syria, we ultimately hope to draw better future by creating serious national dialogue canals with the national and societal forces in Syria, negotiating and agreeing on strategies and policies that guarantee the survival of everyone and provide them with free and dignity life. Thus, we are creating a comprehensive Syrian equation in which the Kurds are one of its parties. However, the Turkish interventions in the region of North and East Syria and the displacement of their residents during the battles of overthrow and the regime and the subsequent Turkish attack and the faction loyal to it put us in position of uncertainty toward the new administration, especially because of its failure to condemn the Turkish attack and occupation more Syrian lands, or perhaps because of its views with satisfaction and of what is happening. We also have fears of extremism and Islamic taking over the administration of the country, as we hope to build the decentralized, pluralist, and democratic Syria, in which they are a real partner state, in which their political culture and economic rights are established in country's constitution. Regarding to the negotiation, there are authorities concerned these matters in North and East Syria, such as autonomous administration and Department Foreign Relations in North and East Syria.
Thank you so much, Hawal Hamrin. Is it done?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate your presentation. Now we'll be moving to our next speaker, and then there will be question and answer at the end of the presentation. So, Hawal, Zaina, are you available? Are you in the room?
Yeah.
Okay, so floor is yours. Zaina is the co-president of Rojava University based in Qamishlu. Yeah, floor is yours.
بله ما أستاذ قاري كرم بك.
I work in Kurdish, so Muhammad will translate what I say. So maybe we need longer. Yeah.
Yes, sure. You have your time.
سپاس محمد.
ترجمة.
دخوازم که سپاسیا مرا
ما أستاذ دنگت گرد خود
جبو بالي بکشنی سر تجارتی نکشاندن سپاسیا مراد بکن. محمد دنگم تیتا.
قد بحر جاري ما مستك.
دنگم نهاد. از دوباره بکم.
تكاربو يباش به.
محمد دنگم تی؟
دنگت تی ما مستك.
تمام دست که ام سپاسیا مراد دکن جبو به کنفرانسی گو دخوازی بالی بکشنی سر تشتی گو روجاوا چه دبی و هر کس لجیهان زانبه زحمتی و زور و شری لسر زور روجاوا تیکرن ام دست که سپاسیا وی دکن.
In the beginning, I would like to thank Murad for making this conference to let everyone around the world know the problems and the attacks we face here in Rojava. So we would like to thank him first.
از دخوازم هنکی لسر خوندنا بلند لروجاوا جدمی دست که كريزا سوريا حتى رجع إيرو تشاوا پیش کت و حالی حاضر دچه حالی ده استفازم بالي بکشین مسرویت شتی.
I would like first to talk about higher education in Rojava and how it started and how it is right now.
شخوکی هم دزانن دست پیکا شورش روجاوا دا 19 تیر مه 2012 دمی دست پیکر دميجو دجي داعش وجبهة النصرة هات دست بكرن وأف هزت تندرو هاتن شكاندن.
In 19th of July 2012, the revolution of Rojava started, and it started by facing ISIS and Jabhat Nusra, who were trying to conquer the regions of north and eastern Syria, and they were defeated by our forces.
جوي چاخي حتى إيرو خلكين باكرو رجلات السوري وروجافا قالك زور زحمتي دحمو آليان دكشينن وياك جوان آليان جي آلية پرورده هي بو.
So since that day, the day of the beginning of the revolution, our people in north and eastern Syria faced a lot of problems, a lot of heavy problems. And one of these problems was the problem of education.
جبو پرانیا خوندکارن روجاوا نچار بون ددم رژیما اسد دا رژیما باسیدا نچار بون گوتچون جهن دور دخواندن وکی زنگها شامه حلب لاتقیه جبرکو رژیما باسه پر پاشگوه کربو جه کردا روجاوا بکشتی باکرو روجلات سوری پاشگوه کری بوج آلیه خواندنه و جبرولوژی خواندکاری من نچار دمان کو دوی دمه ده هرن زنگهن بخوینن وکی شامه حلب لاتقیه.
So yeah, our people started and faced a lot of problems with the education, especially since a lot of our students were studying in other regions of Syria, because our region, the region of Rojava, was really not getting any attention from the government. So most of our students had to go to study in other regions, like other universities, such as the University of Damascus, the University of Aleppo, and the University of Latakia, by force.
جبر وی که دما کریزا سوری دست بکر بصدان خواندکاری ما جخواندنا خوا دور کتن جبر روشا شر و نکاریبون بگهن بازانگهن دور.
So that's why at the beginning of the war, hundreds of our students were cut off of their education and had to stop their education because they were not able to reach those regions because of the war.
دوی دمه دا پشتی گو اف شر دست بکر و شورش روجاوا دست بکر و داعش و جبهة النصرة هاتن شکاندن و نرينا ريبوانها داين كو دولة إسلامي ل باكرو رجلات سوريا آبابكن.
So at the beginning of the revolution, ISIS and Jabhat al-Nusra tried to conquer this region to establish an Islamic state, but they were not able to because they were defeated.
و دمه او هاتن شکاندن ریوبریا خسر هات آوا کرن و سازین خوا هیدی پیش خستن و یک جوان سازیا جی سازیا پروردهیه بو و ریوبریا خسر ایدی لسر سکنی و خواست پیش بخو.
And after the defeat of those forces, the autonomous administration of North and Eastern Syria was established, and they slowly and step by step established a lot of institutions. And one of these institutions was the institution of education, that they paid much attention to it.
د دسپیکا سالا 2013 هم دا ایدی پرورده لدبستان سرطایی دسپیکر.
And in the beginning of 2013, education started in elementary schools.
پشتی وی د 2014 هم ده هن اکادمی هاتن آواکرن و کمیناک اکادمی مزوبتامیا لقامشلوی لباجار قامشلو و به دهان خورتو کچما جی درچو.
And in 2014, some academies were established. For example, the Academy of Mesopotamia or Academia Mesopotamia in the city of Qamishlo that lasted until 2019. And dozens of young men and women were graduated from it.
د سالا 2015 هەندەژی زانینگەها عفرین هات دامەزراندن پشتی کو سێ ساڵان پەروەردە تێدا هاتە مەشاندن مخابن پشتی وێ دەولەتا تورکی ئێریشی خوا بەرداسەر عفرینێ و عفرین د ساڵا 2018 هادا هات داگرکردن و زانینگەها عفرینێ هات گرتن.
In 2015, the University of Afrin was established after three years of continuous education. In February of 2018, the Turkish state, alongside their extremist armed factions, started an invasion on the region of Afrin that lasted 58 days. It was a heavy fight, a really heavy fight, but unfortunately, in the date of the 18th of March, sadly, the region of Afrin was entirely conquered by the Turkish state.
طبعا پشتی وێ دەوڵەتا تورکی دەست پێ کرد گوهردنا دەمۆگرافیک لە عفرینە چێ کرد و خوێندنژی بوو گەرێدای دەوڵەتا تورکی بە زمانی تورکی و عەرەبی و زمانی کوردی هات بەدەخەکردن.
So after the conquest, the Turkish state abolished the University of Afrin, and they started demographic changes, and also all of education became in the Turkish language and the Arabic language, and they threw away the Kurdish language.
د ساڵا 2016 هەندا ئیدی زانینگەها ڕۆژئاوا لە باژارێ قامشلۆ هات دامەزراندن و تەنێ دوێ ساڵێدا تەنێ 5 فاکۆلتە تێدا هەبوو.
In 2016, in the city of Qamishlo, the University of Rojava was established that back then only had 5 faculties.
فاکۆلتە زانستێ پەروەردەهی بوو و بە 7 بەشێخوا هات ئاواکردن فاکۆلتەیە وێژە هەبوو فاکۆلتەیە ئەندزیاریە پەترۆل و پەترۆکیمیایە بوو فاکۆلتەیە ئەندزیاریە چاندنیە بوو و فاکۆلتەیە هونەری بەدەو بوو ئەف د ساڵا 2016 دەما دەست پێ کرد.
Yeah, in the year of 2016, these 5 faculties were introduced. The first one being the faculty of educational sciences with 7 departments, and the faculty of literature, and the faculty of petrol and petrochemistry engineering, and the faculty of agricultural engineering, and the faculty of beautiful arts.
د ساڵا 2017 هەندا هەن فاکۆلتەی نون هاتن ئاواکردن وەکە فاکۆلتەیە ژنۆلۆجی و فاکۆلتەیە بژیشکی.
In 2017, some other faculties were introduced, like the faculty of genealogy and the medical faculty.
بڤیرەنگی گاف بگاف فاکۆلتەی نو هاتن ئاواکردن حتا نەها بەگشتی 11 فاکۆلتە سێ پەیمانگەه دە ئەنستیتوێن خوێندنا بلند یەک ji bo zanistên civakî û mirovî yek jî ji bo zanist û teknolojiya nûjen û di enstitûyê zimanan jî yek jê ji bo zimanê Kurdî yek jî ji bo zimanê İngilîzî halê hazir niha bivîrengî ye.
And like this, step by step and year by year, more faculties were introduced. Till right now, we have 11 faculties, 3 institutes, and 2 institutes for higher education, one being for social and humanitarian sciences, and the other being for modern technological sciences. And also we have a language institute that has two departments, which is the Kurdish language department and the English language department.
ده هر بشکی دا جی جوان تا کورتو پیمانگهان هرورده بدرنگاتی بکارانین یک جی بآلیه توریک دا و یک جی بآلیه پراتیک دا.
In each department of these faculties, there are two methods of education, one being theoretical and the other being practical. And each department has its own methods, whether theoretical or practical.
آلیه پراتیک جی به ریبازین جدا جدا هر فاکولته که دتینا بکارانین وکی لابراتورا وکی ستاجا وکی چالاکیین دروی زانینگه.
And each department, each method varies from department to department according to their nature. For example, we in the practical way we use laboratories, the teaching, practical teaching stages in schools, and also field research that are outside of the university's campus, and etc.
دخوازم بیشم جبلی زنگ ها روش آوا هن زنگی هندن جی لحرمین باکرو روشلات سوریه هنه یک جوان زنگ ها کوبانیا کو لباجاره کوبانه ده سالات 2017 هنده هاتیه دامزراندن یک جوان جی زنگ ها شرقا کو لباجاره رقای ده.
And also I would like to say that beside the University of Rojava, there are also other universities in the regions of North and Eastern Syria. One of these universities is the University of Kobane that has been established in 2017 in the city of Kobane, and also the University of Al-Sharq in the city of Raqqa that was established in 2021.
اف هر سه زنگه جی گریدای مجلسه زنگه هن باکرو رجلات سوریه نا و هر یک جی جوان خسری کویا اکادمیک و بریوبریه ہے.
Also, these three universities are linked to the universities of North and Eastern Syria's Council, and each one of them has their own autonomous academic administration.
دخوازم بینم زمان جی کو او خوندکاره گوش زنگه ها عفرینه جا عفرین کوچبر بون پشتی گو 3 سال خوندنا فقداندن مجبور بون عفرین کوچبر ببن گلک جوان خوندکاره برای خودان زنگه ها روژاوا و کوبانه و خوندنا خواه و هر دو زنگه ها بداوی گره.
I would also like to mention that the students from the University of Afrin, after they were displaced in 2018, both universities, Rojava and Kobane, welcomed them, and many of them continued their education.
أما هناك لخوازن فلسفة خو بدن داخياني.
We would like to explain a little bit about our philosophy here in the autonomous administration.
زانگهین روژاوا به گشتی سر فلسفیان توای دموکراتیک هاتنا آواکرن کو دری وان جهر کسیرا جن خورت جهر نتوي جهر اوليرا فكريا.
The universities of Rojava are based on the philosophy of the democratic nation. They are open to everyone, regardless of their sex or their religion or their nationality.
يعني أرمانجا سركا أو دور كتنا جفكري نجات برستي وزاينت برستي.
Their main mentality is to get as far away as possible from the racist and sexist mentality.
وهر خوندكارك دكاري بزماني خوي دايكي بكي.
And every student is allowed to study in his mother tongue.
جخوا فلسفيا زاينجها ما جفلسفيا قشتيا ريبابريا خسر لباكرو رجلات سوريا هاتيا كو ما في جنيه تدا تشتكي سركيا.
Of course, our university's philosophy is based on the autonomous administration's general philosophy that women rights is a main corner of its philosophy.
يعني وكي ام دزانن جن رولك السركة دخمو قادين شورشا رجعواتا ليستيا و يك جوان قاداجي قادا پرورده.
Because women have played a major role in all parts of the revolution of Rojava, that until this point it is called the women's revolution. ما مستجبر رهاب وما مستزينة بكملين ورقري.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. Yes, I'm a translator as well.
Sorry, just a reminder, we need to have some time for question and answers. How, are you able to finish it like in a couple of minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
لگوری فلسفه زنگه رجعوا هن تایبت مندی خوا یه لسر استا جیهانه هن.
According to this philosophy, Rojava University has some world-class features.
یک جوان وکرنا بش جنولوژیا بود سالا 2017 هات دامزراندن و خواندکار تیدا زانستا گریدای جنه دخوینن کرم بکن.
Okay, one of them is the opening of the genealogy department in 2017, where students study science related to women.
یادیجی سیستما هفسروکاتیه کو اوجی گریدای فلسفاری وبریا خسره کو هر دو زایان دکارن رولا خبلیزن بتایبت جن دکاره د بریارداینه دا او د پیش خستنا زانینگه دا رولا خو د هر جهکی ده بگره.
Okay, the second one is the co-chair system, an example about it, which both genders can play roles in it, which gives women the opportunity to take their place in the decision making.
بتخوازم هناك زحمتي إيبو أم هاري زحمتي جران بو أم دبينن بينم زمان زحمتيا هاري سركا قوتي بشياما أو إيريشين دولتات ترك لسر روجافا.
In addition, when I mentioned some of the obstacles, and the most important one is the Turkish attacks on our region.
لرغمي وحمو زحمتي وش روشي شرجي هركس دزاينجه مدى لبر خود دي جبو أم زاينجه خوابش بخن وأم حتى أستكي أم قاربن دشورش دا ولكي بليزن.
Despite of all difficulties actually that we mentioned, everyone in our university is doing their best to we can say participates with a strong will and great faith and fulfills their duties, the duties required to take part in this time. Yes.
جخوام برز و بحرمت و بپرغم گینی دخوازن خوندکار خویا و شهید کت لبندابا تشرین 22 مها يكيدا جبر إيريشين بالافرين شرعي تركيا كو لبنداوي شهيد كات أمبريز وبخمكيني وبيفتينا.
Yes, we want to remember with respect and sadness our student who was injured in the Tishrin Dam on 22nd January as a result of the bombing by Turkish planes and who fell martyr actually days later.
تداوية دا از سپاسیا هر کسی حاضر تمش بو گهدار کرن.
Yes, and finally, I would like to thank all the attendees.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Zaina. I really appreciate your contribution. We'll have one more speaker. Canan Şahin is a PhD student at Queen's University from Department of Political Science. She's from Turkey, and she has been always with us in the solidarity events with Rojava movement. So floor is yours, Canan. You could use...
Yeah, maybe I can just turn this and we can turn on the camera if I don't know others want us. It's already on. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
It's already on.
Okay, yeah, I know, we don't have a lot of time, so I will try to keep it short. The volume down, you think? Sit down, yes. Okay, so that I will be seeing better. Okay. All right. Okay, so first of all, I am from Turkey and I'm doing my PhD in politics here. I'm working on forced migration, and part of it actually the internally displaced people, and it involves, like a lot of Kurdish people in the urban areas. But I'm not going to talk about my research. Of course, I'm going to talk about this ongoing situation, and it will a lot of be aimed at giving information about the Turkish government and what's happening, like in Turkey and the discussions regarding the points made here. First, I feel like the balance of power in the region after the fall of Assad regime and after the US elections, is kind of shifting, and that is also shaping, what the governments are doing, including the Turkish government. So we should always keep in mind, it's not just the biggest imperialist forces that shape the region, but also sub-imperialist forces such as Turkey and what they do in the region, they shape it. And Turkey is one of them, in addition to other states, who also were involved heavily in the Syrian civil war over the last, 13 years. And what is interesting is, actually in October 2024, basically just a couple of months ago in Turkey, a new peace process was initiated. And that was announced by the leader of the most unlikely party, Nationalist Movement Party, which is a fascist party, actually. And they were in alliance with the governing Justice and Development Party, AKP, in the presidential elections and local elections. So they have been in an alliance since 2015. And this party's leader, made the announcement. But after that, of course, we have seen a committee, this is called İmralı Committee, given name after the prison that Öcalan is being kept at the moment. İmralı is an island in the Marmara Sea, and Öcalan is being kept there. And there was a committee consisting of Democracy and Equality Party members, which is the Kurdish party in alliance with some Turkish left. They went to see the leader of the PKK, Öcalan, in İmralı. And so this process is still going on, and Selahattin Demirtas, who was the leader of the political party in Turkey and an MP who is in prison, explained that he's supporting the peace process and the situation. So we don't know what is going on at the moment, but it seems Turkey, is trying to, somewhat after the initial peace process, which was between 2013 and 15, was over, trying to reinvigorate the peace process. But the terms of it are not super clear. But we are, of course, they call it like an anxious optimism. So the Kurdish people, call it that way. So I think I kind of feel the same. I hope, in this conversation, something, comes out. But why is it taking place now? It's taking place because of Rojava, basically. Because, Turkish state is also worried about, that autonomous region being there as it is, and it is also strengthening the hand of the Kurdish people within Turkey. So they are trying to, I think, come to a point, because despite everything, the Turkish state has, you have heard, like the attacks and incursions. Turkish state did military operations one after another. Like maybe I can just, in 2016, they called it Euphrates Shield. They basically cut the link between Manbij and Afrin, like the Euphrates. And in 2017, they did another operation in Idlib. In 2018, they called it Olive Branch. They removed all the YPG forces from Afrin. In 2019, they called it Peace Fountain, and they took control of Resulayn, Tel Abyad, Sloop, and other, like locations on the eastern side of Euphrates. So Turkish state, has been actively part of over the last 5-6 years of the picture. And while this was happening in Turkey, there was an immense oppression over the Kurdish opposition forces. The party which was in the place, People's Democratic Party, which was, there is a court case against it, and against the risk of its closure, Kurdish people actually now organize under a new party, but that party's MPs were under attack and all the electoral places. They won 65 municipalities in 2019 local elections, and the government took control 48 of them, basically, and they won 78 municipalities in 2024 elections, which happened last March, last year, and the government took control of 8 of them. And some of them happened after the peace process in October started. So the Turkish state always, gives some, a sign of, something can change, but at the same time always want to show they can be oppressive. And that is kind of the punishment, but there is a whole kind of policy they are pursuing. And now, like with the Tishrin Dan, they were talking about, maybe the speakers you remember, there are, like constant attacks, including the civilians in northern Syria. So what is the situation? Since the NIVs they call Syrian interim government, after the HTS took, the power, they are forming, their initial objective is centralizing the forces within Syria, because there are armed forces, everywhere. And Turkey today, basically, they explain that Syrian National Army, which has 70,000, soldiers, and mostly under control of the Turkey's directions, and they call, the speakers called mercenaries of Turkey. Now Turkish state said that SNA, Syrian National Army, is okay to go under the control of the Syrian Central Army. So they are gonna join it, and they expect actually through negotiations all the Syrian democratic forces to give up, their weapons and everything, be part of the central structure without guaranteeing any democratic rights, any status recognition, and or anything, which might, kill all the decade of basically political building and efforts in the region, which we should definitely resist. So I think, the peace in the region definitely goes. It can only happen if the existing states, which control different Kurdish populations in different states, develop some democratic framework that recognizes Kurdish people's identity and their choices. It has to happen in Turkey. It's a more than a century yield of war. I can't, explain you how many rebellions Kurdish people have organized, how many, oppressions or massacres Turkish state have conducted so far. In Syria, it's not going to change, if the situation, if they totally disregard Kurdish people's rights, it will be again another ethnic war. It will be again another oppressive period. It will be blood. It will be massacre. So the only solution is a more democratic system of governance in the region. And I kind of want to, in this period of transformation, I hope Kurdish people's, hands are stronger at the table. And I hope we can echo that power elsewhere, both, putting pressure on the Turkish state and other, players in the region. We have seen in the past that we cannot rely on big imperialist forces, because they can be there for 3 months. They can be outthrown. Trump, like policy, we don't know how it is going to shape the region or anything. So what we can rely on the people themselves and their struggles. And I hope both, in the west of Turkey, like the Turkish working class, and in Syria, like Arab workers, democratic forces in the Arab communities have put their, like choices and support for a more like a pluralist, democratic system, that might definitely change the political landscape in the region. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you, everybody. Thank you from Rojava and Jonan Shaheen's latest presentation. Again, I'm Ariel Saltzman, the Department of History, and I began the introductions with my student, Morhat Ruhi. We're now going to move to questions from the audience to see whether we have questions for our speakers. About the current situation, about the institution building that's occurred over the last decade, including universities and regrouping of universities after the tragedy in Afrin and students being forced out and coming into Kamishli or Kamishlu, and just other general questions about how people are coping in Rojava today. I take questions from the floor. We have students, graduate students mainly. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Speakers, how Southern Kurdistan people, because of the center, that there's good relations with Kurdistan and its government. So I'm wondering whether from the government or whether from the best has there been any support from that side? Because Turkey's on the other side.
So support from internationally or from Kurdistan, northern Iraq?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is about support from the Kurdish autonomous region in northern Iraq. What kind of support has Rojava received? Anyone who wants to take that question?
So anyone wants to talk about this question, that is there any kind of cooperation between the Kurdish regional government, the Bashuri government, with the Rojava administration? Maybe.
If you might excuse me, can I translate the question to Mama Stazena? She might answer that question.
Sure.
Mama Stazena, the person, je crois برسك خندكار كي وان كريد بيجي كو چه شكل و تشي تكليدنا برا حكومتها ريبابريا خوسر و حكومتها باكوري عراقيا هريما كردستان يعني هي وهجرمت بشجرية دعمج وان ستندية بشكل عام يعني شو روشة علاقة دورتها موان دي.
بله براستی هنک تکلی به دما داویدا بپرانی دما داویدا یعنی تکلیت نبرا روجاوای کردستان و باشور کردستان ده چبونا بتایبت جبو یکرنا مالا کردی یکرنا همو آلین کردی.
Yeah, in the past 2 months or after the fall of the Assad's regime, there has been a lot of interactions between the autonomous administration and the the Kurdistan's region government. It is mainly about uniting the Kurdish front against threats and enemies.
افجی پیوستیه کی پر مازن به ویتشته هیا جبو کردین روجاوا جبو دمی هرن دماسکوسی به حکومت نور رونن ام گلکی حوجداریا ما به یکیتیا هلوستا کردی هید بیرمی.
So yeah, this is very important for Kurds here because when we want to go as uh, as an envoy to the government in Damascus, we have to be united in our speech. So this is very important to us.
خود دما داوید جی بلکی هر کسی دید جی هفدیتنك تنابرا مظلوم عبدي و بريز مسعود برزاني دا تشيبون او هفديتن جي بوزيتيف بو بشتوي هفديتن جي لفرجي هفديتن دنابرا احزاب كردي دا تشيبو و نها حاضرية مؤتمركي كردي كو جبو يكرنا هالوستا كردي تشيبه
So many of you have recently seen the meeting between General Mazloum Abdi and the respected President of Kurdistan region Masoud al-Barzani. And also there has been a lot of meetings between Kurdish parties here to unite our view and unite our front in these discussions. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions about what's going on? Yes.
I'm not sure if any of this speaker actually talked about this, but I'm just curious about the ecological sustainability. You know, what exactly does that mean within the context of Rojava? What efforts are being made, like in terms of sustaining the environment, and how is it that is it rooted in cultural practices, or is it like, I don't know what it looks like. I'm just curious about what forms of ecological sustainability processes are being kind of adopted in this region, or what is the future like? What is the environment like?
Thank you. So we have a question about the ecological aspects of development in Rojava, and how, on the one hand, government policies are promoting ecological practices, and on the other hand, in terms of general education, because I know we heard about special programs dedicated to bringing women fully into leadership, decision-making. Is there a sort of cultural push within the universities or in government to expand a more environmentally embracive environmental consciousness among the people at large?
مامستين حاضر از برسي ورقرين ما يبقى از برسي بده قاري كلامك از جوار ورقرين عادي مشكلتني
ببوره حوال محمد حوالن دنجی دکارن تشت بکن اگر دخوازن بخوره سپاس.
Yes, I've told them. Yeah, I said if I will translate the question, whoever wants to answer, I will translate for them. Maybe there will be a problem within answering the questions in English. Yeah. شخوا برساوان دبيجي شو مستاي حاضر بخازر برسبي بده دبيجي كو قالوا روشة إيكولوجيا وروشة بيئي الروجافا تشاوايه وحكومة تشاوا دعما بيت اشتهاني كحكومة ريفبريا خسر تشاوا دعما فان مشاريع إيكولوجي دكنو إيكولوجيا بيش بشكل عام شو ما بيست دواري پروردهی دیجی برامج یانج پروگرام تایبەت هەنیش بۆ ژنان بینن ڕۆلên سەرۆکاتی و ڕۆلên سیاسی و چلۆ حکوومەت وان تشتا پێش دەخن.
بەلکە ئێستا کاربم بپرسێ يعني جواب بده
بله كرم بك مامستا مامستا مامستا كي
نسرين
مامستا Nisreen would like to answer this question.
Perfect.
يعني جبوم مجاري ايكولوجي ويعني بيئي يعني باكوروش لاتي سوري يعني سيستما وفلسفانا يعني سرد ما يشرب بريا خاسر بارسنا ايكولوجي و يعني جينجا هي او دوكي دبستان وكي خواندن وماتريالي ما تجي ام فانش انا تميت يعني وك برانسيب ماني برورده هي نكو بارسنا ايكولوجي وجينجا هي باكوروش لاتي سوري يعني دما دور بيتش يعني قالك تشتن يعني ام قاربن في فان بروجا قالك بيش خن ينجي ولاتي ما ينجي هريمه مش هريمه تشاندنينه جبركو روشا هاي وجبر شر وجبر وي ايكولوجي ينجي جينجي قالك هاتيه يعني هم رو خاندن هم جي قالك زرار ال الروشة هواي جي تايبات جي كري يعني نها الدنيا ده مثلا جهرتنا مناخ تاني قاشكرن امورن بيجن سر اسا سوريا باكورو شلاتي سوري وسوري بديشتي تايبات هريمه ما او قيسه توباران تنكرن او قيسه يعني الشرق تي مشاندن بيجمان باندور الدكيل سر يعني هم هوا هم جي جنگه وكم كوتشي هرمكي چاندنية دور پیچا کو هبون يعني نت کارین نه تشتك هرم درخن یان درباس بکن او جي دوی گلک سدمان كون ها ایصال شخور روشا هواي جي ام بيجن يعني نه او قيسي كو نه آدي كاريان جي باران او اف بخوا حمو هجر مروف بكن مجارك اف حمو جريداي مجارين اون يعني جهرتنا اف هواي بكرتاسيش بركو ام مثلا مجاري منازل عليه جينجا اوينا لي وك سيستم وك او انها حاليا يعني بفيرا وشي بفي اواي من دريش كشفت واي قالين
لا مشكلة يا مامستا عادي. So Mama Nisreen says that in about the ecological problem or the ecological aspect of the autonomous administration, it is within the constitution of the autonomous administration to protect the environment and encourage ecological development. And we also teach these principles and the philosophy of protecting the ecology in our schools and universities. However, the main problem with this, with developing the ecological system, especially our region is an agricultural region, which means it has a great foundation for developing the ecology. However, the big problem here is that the war and the pressure on us is preventing us from developing this kind of ecological development, especially. Now we see that climate change is a worldwide debate, but if we look at the region of Rojava, which is, by the way, a great place to again to develop this kind of ecological ecosystem, and protect the region. We see that, for example, bombardment and the lack of rain and the climate situation in general prevents us from like developing this kind of system that we aspire to do. However, if things get easier, it will be an easy job to do again, because the region is an agricultural region. Although this is not our main topic, but we just wanted to like put it in short words.
باش تدواج برسيش بركو سر درباري جن وباش دربنا جن عليه سياسي دي انشي شا جن رولك ادليزش خو سيستما ما سيستما هفسروكاتي وما في جن وبارسنا ما في جن شي دي سيستم برانسيب بنجين يربريا خسر وحمو سازين دزگه ويدنه وكي جو نمونه كش جهان رتفه سيستما الفيدري سيستما كي هفسروكاتي يعني وتايبت جلك سازي ودزگه جنان هن يعني دستا جن بگره وقفه جن بگره کنگرس تاریانجی ريخستنين اي كو تايبت جريداي جنن كو اف دزگه وسازين جن يعني حطانها قالك قانون زاغون درباري جن ده درخستي وكي قانون جنا قانون مالباتي يعني قانون الأسرة يعني سيستما كو هي سيستما وكهفية شورشا روجافا وباكروش لاتي سوري جيب شورشا جنتي ناسكرن دحمو واردة قادن دشجري سياسي عسكري وآبوري وحر قادي دجي جن رو راخد ليزة و هاول داكو جنهاش بيواجويا كو شورشا جن بنافي دركتي نها جن باكوروش لاتي سوري بويوكي إلهام وجداركي كو همو دنيا إدي رولا خو هزا خو جي دقرن مناكاوي بر بچافجي شورشا من كارم بيجن روش لاتي كردستاني كو سلوغانا بيجن جيان آزادي بو و انجام اوی دیجی او شورش نها بسای شورش جن روج آواجی در تکوه گلک دورین جهانی گلک پلاتفورم و سازین جنان الهامی جد کرن و جدرکی کو هزه جد کرن.
Yeah, so Master Srin says that as for the second part of the question about the leadership role of women in our society, of course, here in the autonomous administration, we have the co-administrative system, which consists of two genders, both genders administrating each institution, and this system is a model for should be a model for international administrative bodies. And also, as you can see, as for women movements and initiatives, we have a lot of them here, like the movement of women, and also Congress Star, and many other institutions that represent the women and keep their rights. And also about the laws, we have a lot of laws regarding women's rights that been developed exceptionally in this region of the Middle East. And as for our women are model for other women around the world to aspire the revolution. And also our revolution is called the Women's Revolution because women played a huge and a major role in this revolution. As for this aspiration, we can see what happened in Rojava Kurdistani or Western Iran or Eastern Kurdistan, as we call it. The women's movement slogan was Jinjian Azadi, which is a slogan that was developed here in this region. And our women are considered the role model for all free women around the world.
Thank you. Any other questions, final questions? Yeah.
I guess one of the speakers mentioned that there's problems with infrastructure and like service. Of course, the trouble, like the war, air conditioning. What is like a very multiple challenge for education? That has a simple answer, but not to answer everything. What would be most helpful right now? There's something that
Yeah.
we could do like, in terms of material. I guess like the language is also very important. Try to translate something. That's it.
We had a question about the audience and the person who's posing the question appreciates the kind of very challenging circumstances that educators and institutions face in Rojava at this point, given the war, given the targeting of infrastructure, and given the fact that this region, as was pointed out by many of the speakers, was systematically underdeveloped or before the war by the Syrian regime because of its ethnic and ethno-religious biases. But what could be possibly one of the ways that people outside Rojava could help at this point? What is the most important thing that perhaps people here in Canada could do for the universities there, whether it's books or I don't know, exchange programs? What would your speakers recommend?
شخوا مامۆستا زێجاردی پرسێ زێژوار وەرگەرینم ئێ بخوازێ بەرسڤایە بدێ وێ gelekî baş be şixwe dipirse dibe kesê ev pirsanê kirî destpêkê de dibe spasiya karê we dikim û ez gelekî diqedirînim zirûfê hûn têr derbas dibin û tevlî ku ev şerê heyî ser we û tevlî ewdayê nexwe jî lêhîna hûn kar dikin ser vê meseleya hanê û şixwe sîstema wî a xwendinê û sîstemê ê her tişî bi şekil am li wê de berê ne bi serketî hûn ji ber hikûmeta Bersî û نهجك دمشان تفرقة ديني وقومي دي إلى آخره ل برسام الفيدك إنه أم الفيدك وك ملتي إلج دربي سوري أو جدربي ريبابريا قصر بتايبتي الفيدك كندا أم شلو دكارن آليكاريا خلق وزانينجا بتايبتي زانينجا ويدك بكن قالوا هجر دريا أم مثلا ميناكم برتوكا جور بشين يانجي أم مثلا أم برنامجي برنامج گوهرتنه چیکن یعنی چلو برنامه گوهرتنه یعنی خوندکار ناجبر بفنور و جور بینم ویده که ولو هر وقت دیدن Yeah, Mausta Zena, I would like to participate. كلامك Mausta.
سپاس ji bo vê pirsê rastî ji ber ku pirs girêdayî zanîngeh haya ez dixwazim bersiv bidim.
Thank you for this question. Actually, because the question is regarding universities, I wanted to answer this one.
ji xwe tedî me dixwastem hinekî behsa zor û zehmetiyê din ji bilî şerê Tirkiyê em bikin lê demê têra me ne em niha dikarin di vê bersivê de hinekî behsa vî tiştî bikin.
As we said earlier, there are many obstacles, but the Turkish attacks are not the only obstacles we are facing, and we didn't have time to discuss them earlier. But through this question, now we can show or talk about them.
ji xwe zor û zehmetiyê got em dikişînin di hin aliya de hene aliyê destpêkê aliyê akademîk ji ber ku kêmasiya kadrê akademîk li cem me heye di zanîngehê me de lewra em bi hacetin ku zanîngehên derve di vî alî de bi me re alîkar bin ku kesê akademisyan heger karibin kors bidin karibin em wan projeyan bi hevdûre çê bikin karibin xwendekarê me bibin li cem xwe bidin xwendin xwendekarê me herin li wir lêkolîn û projeya çê bikin ev tişt wê pir baş bê ji bo me.
So yeah, one of the main problems that is facing our universities here is the shortness of the academic staff. We are in dire need of academic staff, especially if the universities outside of Rojava can provide academic personnel to whether provide courses, to provide mutual projects or workshops, or even maybe take some of our students there to continue their studies or to make research or to do some exchange programs. That would be great.
د aliyekî dî de jî tedît me da me got di nav axaftinê xwe de got di enstitûyê me yê xwendina bilind hene xwendekarê me yê di ve her du enstitûya de dixwînin halê hazir masterê dixwînin û niha li pêşiya me PhD jî heye ku bixwînin em bi hacetin ku zanîngehên derve karibin serpereşta ji me re بدن آلیکار ببن آلیکار جبو سرپرشتیا تزه درچونه ای ماستری و ای پی اچ دی.
سرپرشتی يعني چی ماموستا؟
يعني إشراف جبو تزه.
تمام yes so yeah we know that we mentioned earlier that we have two higher education institutes that are now presenting their master's degrees, and also they are the next step is their PhD program. We require now that the outside universities to maybe monitor these, provide some aid and support, and to monitor their graduation letters.
وەکی دیژی دالیێ ڕێفرانس و پرتوکاندا گەر ئالیکاری هەبن ji بۆ زانیگەهێ پڕ باشە وەکی دیژی ji بۆ مەسەلەی لابراتوارە هەن کێماسیت ئالیە لابراتوارە دەرجەمە هەنە زانیگەه بە حاجەتی بە ئالیایە.
As for materialistic needs, we have a shortage in books and resources, resource documentations, and also as for laboratories, we also are short equipped with some laboratory equipments. So it would have been great if the outside universities could provide us help in this point also.
شخواستکارم بێژم ژی کو هەنێک هەفپەیمانی مە هەنێک زانگهێ جودا جودارە هەنە وەکە زانگەها واشنگتۆن وەکە زانگەها پۆرتۆ هەنێک چالاکی مە زانینگەها بریمنەیە ئەڵمانیارە هەنە هەنێک ئەف هەفپەیمانێ مە تێدا وەک هەفکاریەکێ ئاستا لێکۆلینە ئاستا دانوستاندنا ئان برن و چوینە خوێندەکاری مەهرن وریان ئێواوەرن بر یعنی ئەف هەفپەیمان دنابەرە مە و بازانینگەها دەهەنە و هەنێک زانگهێ دیژی هەبن ئالیکار بن ئەم دەکارن هەفپەیمانە بوارەچی.
Of course, we already have some, treaties and pacts with other universities, such as the University of Washington and the University of Porto, and you also have some research exchange and workshops with other universities. And also, if other universities would like to join our university, whether by exchange of students or exchange of research, etc., we are open to do so.
Spas.
And thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That was some great ideas and places to work. We're going to thank you all and probably wrap up this session. One more question?
Another question, I think Zaina had raised up.
Oh, okay.
No, Zaina was talking about this. She wanted to reply this question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding.
Do you want to sign up?
We don't have it. Do we have any other questions in the room?
No, I think we're
okay. So it was really great. Thank you all to kind of joining this event with. I know that how infrastructure is devastated in the region, and we see how it affects even these online meeting. But I truly appreciate your patience with us, and we learned a lot from your efforts, from your struggle, and hopefully we'll be seeing some opening in the near future. Your struggle and your resistance really inspire millions of people globally, and we are learning from this struggle. And hopefully, especially regarding this last question, there is some kind of possibilities for making a new connection between Queen's University and universities in Rojava. Yeah.
Thank you all again. We know it's late for you.
Thank you for it.
Yeah,
Shabbat.
thank you for having us, and thanks for the Queen's University. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
And we should
Right,
check
Shabbat.
back again in
Thank you, everybody.
next year, if not before. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you all.